good. Even this one, you know, yeah, you're a little late, but look, it's no lift. Right back in. Wow, nice and flight.
Hey everybody, this is Arie and you are tuned in to the service line. I'm here with Mirko Pehar, who was, at one point in time, the 582nd best singles player on the planet and the 122nd best doubles player on the planet. It's great to be with you here this evening. How are you?
Same here. Good. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Tell the people, we have many listeners. Tell them, what is your current occupation? Where do you work right now?
I'm a tennis director at the Lakeland Country Club in Lakeland, Florida. So that's what I do every day on a tennis court.
On a tennis court. But you obviously didn't start in Lakeland, Florida. Can you tell us, where were you born? How'd you end up in Lakeland?
I was born in Bosnia-Herzegovina and pretty far from Lakeland and about the same population, you know, size-wise as Lakeland actually.
How about that?
But yeah, I lived a couple of cities along the way, you know, in Croatia, in Germany, Tampa, and then eventually Lakeland. So
okay, because when you played under the American flag. You did not play. Everything I saw, you were an American.
yes, well, because you know they kind of do it when you, I guess, when you start playing for a certain country. Then later, if you change it, they just will show that you're playing under whatever you finished playing.
Okay.
Wait, but yeah, I started playing, you know, for actually in the juniors first for Bosnia.
Okay.
And then to Croatia, and then play also professionally for Croatia for a little while until I moved to the US and you know became naturalized.
What prompted the move?
To play
to move to the US.
Well, we're one torn country, you know, former Yugoslavia. So
for those that don't know, can you give us just a 30-second? Because it was really serious.
Yes. So well, the city I was in, you know, there was some gunfights going on. It wasn't too terrible like many other places, at least while I was there. So we were able to you know, kind of leave just before the stuff got too bad. But our city never got too bad, so we went to Croatia with my family.
Okay.
Spent some time there, kind of basically trying to like navigate tennis in life till find better solution to get better tennis practice, and then we moved eventually to Germany. We got I got opportunity there. Some sponsored it. Actually, Niki Pilic that recently passed away, like very famous person, but he was able to help us out and kind of get us to Germany. And then after a while being in Germany, we ended up kind of immigrating to the US, and we love it here.
Wow. Love that. So yeah, I don't know if many people in Lakeland got here quite the same way you did. So you speak Croatian, you speak English, do you Portuguese?
Portuguese, I would say maybe I can communicate comfortably in Portuguese. Okay. It may not sound to a Portuguese-speaking person grammatically correct, but
okay. German too?
And German, yeah.
And okay, just 4. Okay, that's good. So before we really get into the meat of the interview, I want to do something we call the serve and volley on the service line here. So I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to answer it, whatever comes to your mind right away. Okay?
Okay.
Quick answers. Just don't overthink it. All right? Favorite shot in tennis?
Volley.
Favorite racket?
Yonex.
Best player ever men's?
Djokovic.
Best player ever women's?
Steffi Graf.
Favorite event that you played in as a pro?
I only made it to qualifying Wimbledon, so I have to say Wimbledon just because it is Wimbledon.
Okay. Least favorite event that you played in as a pro?
Oh, must have been some probably small tournament in some small city. I can't think of anything.
That's okay. We don't want to make a bunch of names.
Yeah.
We'll just say that. Dogs or cats?
Cat.
Cross court or down the line?
Down the line.
Which slam would you have wanted to win if you could only pick one?
Wimbledon.
Favorite sports team?
Sports team?
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers.
Least favorite food?
I don't know. Maybe seaweed.
Best food that your wife makes?
She makes a lot of good stuff, but her rice, everybody says exceptional, so I'll go with her rice.
What's the best food you make?
Eggs.
What's the best food that Luke makes?
Well, I don't think he makes anything, but let's say cereal.
And then favorite sport to play besides tennis?
Basketball.
Okay. So it seems to me like you are on the court every day from sun up to sundown. You're working with first time adult players, you're working with kids, you're working with college athletes, you're working with pros. It feels to me like you love tennis. Do you love tennis?
Yes, and to add on that, I'll come home and I'll put a tennis on TV, and my wife would say, like, I think you're the person who loves tennis the most in this world.
Why do you love tennis? And why, what about the game keeps your interest and keeps your passion fueled?
you know, just growing up, I don't know. My dad took me to tennis courts was like a thing that we do on a weekend, after playing whole week. But like I remember loving going Saturday or Sunday morning, getting on our bikes, or we would walk, either one. But it would be him and I. Like sun just goes up, we'll go and be like all day playing. As long until I get tired. And then ever since then, I don't know. Just always loved hitting the ball, holding the racket. If it's competing or just hitting a ball. And then later, stop playing myself. Like teaching just kind of came natural because you still run the game. Maybe running as much, yourself as before, but some actually see a different perspective of it. And then just love watching the game as well because just the player, the game developing, all these things.
So, I mean, it is truly like a part of who you are.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, my friends, we have a lot of inside jokes and some shirts about tennis and stuff. But yeah, so they always see me as a tennis guy.
Yeah. I think that there are people everywhere that feel like a sport is a part of who they are. Tennis is an exceptionally painful sport, though. So picking that as who you are, why do you think tennis, I guess, resonated so much with you instead of other sports that are played in Bosnia and Herzegovina or Croatia or Germany? What about tennis specifically do you think speaks to you?
My dad took me. He said when I was younger, he wanted me to get into individual sports. So he
Hmm.
took me skiing in winter and tennis in the summer. So and he wanted me to pick one. And he says when I picked tennis, he was very happy because it's a little bit easier, to do summer sport. You could
Yes.
do it in winter rather than the other way around. But it's just kind of like, it's individual sport, and it kind of relates a little bit to real life because all the stuff you go through emotions on the court, you can kind of relate on to real life because off the court you have to go ups and downs. You have to know how to pick yourself up, how
Hmm.
to deal with some situations in a delicate way. And then also playing on a pro tour, kind of like traveling tournaments, you gotta also balance your budget. It's kind of like regular life,
Yes, you do.
paying your bills and knowing how much you can spend where, and like hopefully where you can make a good result and make good enough profit so you can kind of go somewhere else. So it's
Yeah.
it's yeah, that's kind of like,
Okay. It's like a metaphor.
yes,
I love that.
yeah.
So I've gotten to watch you coach Jada Daniel over the last couple weeks. I've been impressed not only with your patience, but with your technical aptitude, the specificity of your feedback, and your positivity around everything that's happening on the court. I have seen other coaches working with her, working with other players. I don't necessarily see that from all of them. What do you think many people miss when it comes to coaching high level athletes or young tennis players that aren't proven yet but have high level aspirations?
I think the main thing is like knowing the person's, or trying to understand the person's personality.
Okay.
Knowing how they react to certain things. And I mean, most people who are trying to achieve something professionally, they're driven. So they're going to try give you their best. So it's just kind of how to get them to be able to extract their best, and it's kind of understand what things gets them going, or frees them up. I think
Hmm.
it's kind of like understanding what they need to get but how to get there. It's, how they can get it out of themselves, or how you can help them get out of it, or them understand how they can do it, for themselves.
Okay.
Because they got to do it. You can just kind of try to help them to get there, but it's up to them eventually.
Besides the obvious skill and physical differences, what do you take from a mindset perspective? What's different when you are working with high level college athletes or pro athletes versus the the beginners in tennis that you work with maybe at the club or here or there?
Well, they both have good challenges, and both interesting. That's why my job, I love the part of it have, all different levels,
Hmm.
because everything, presents a different challenge, and so it never gets boring.
Hmm.
Um, well, the beginners, it's more basics, and it's more just kind of keeping things very simple.
Okay.
And when you get to the pros, like, they know the simple things. It's kind of the little details that you need to, pinpoint and, execute in a finer way.
Okay. So you're painting with a smaller brush in a sense. It's
Exactly, exactly.
less broad
Yes,
strokes.
yes.
Okay. You travel with your son to tennis events. You get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to parents and young players, I'm sure. What advice would you offer a parent with no tennis background if they're thinking that their kid should play competitive junior tennis? What are some good things you see and some not so good?
A lot of people saying like, oh, the parents should not be, watching the tennis matches. They just make it worse. I kind of, I mean, some do, but I kind of disagree. I feel like the kids do want their parents to, be there for them, watch them, support them. Yeah, sometimes they'll say, you interrupt them, which may be true, but I feel like the kid likes to see the parent being involved, kind of, being behind them, kind of have, obviously it
Hmm.
has to be the kid's desire to be there,
Okay.
but the parents should kind of help them, in supporting them, as much as they can,
Yeah.
as much as the kid is kind of, willing to accept. Sometimes, you don't want to step over the line.
I think that's good to hear because what I've heard in the tennis space is mostly the horror stories
Yeah.
of the parent that is pushing way, way, way too hard and the toxic relationship that can come from that between the player and the parent. But you're saying, no, you should be involved as a parent, but it sounds like overwhelmingly in the supportive and in the positive.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. I mean, we, have the coach do their stuff, but also communicate with the coach to see how you can help, or, give feedback with the kids that a little bit at home off the court,
Hmm.
and kind of, so, kind of encourage them, and kind of work as a team, rather than just like, oh, this is all coach's thing. You guys stay out of it. I think you should always try help the whole situation. Not just, hey, you do tennis, and I'm done.
No, okay. Okay. All right. We're going to move to something a little lighter here, a little more fun. I'm going to make it so you can't see the screen. I've been told that you have an incredible memory for men's tennis, and I'm going to read off some events, and I want you to tell me who won the event.
Okay.
All right, we're going to start recent, easy, and we're going to move further
Okay.
away. A
Okay.
little bit of pressure
There's
here.
got a big events though. I'm not gonna remember the small ones, but
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
All right, 2025 French Open,
Alcaraz.
2022 Wimbledon,
Or 22. Oh, Djokovic.
correct. 2018 U.S. Open,
Djokovic.
2012 Australian Open.
And I assume we're talking about men, right? I'm not.
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Yes, I
yeah.
should have clarified that. This is
Yeah.
all men. Yep. 2012 Australian Open.
Also Djokovic.
I thought I'd trip you up going these names right in a
Yeah.
row there. 2010 Wimbledon.
Nadal.
2008 French.
Nadal also.
2006 Cincinnati ATP Masters.
2006. Okay, Cincinnati. That was Federer.
Close.
Oh shoot. Okay, I missed that one. Roddick.
You're right. It was Roddick. Roddick. Okay, last one. 2005 ATP Challenger in Cuenca, Ecuador for doubles.
That was myself and my partner Goran.
Okay, so back to 2005 here. I think that you reached your highest doubles ranking in 2006,
Yeah.
April of 2006. So obviously 2005 things are going pretty well there. Um, let's go back. You said from the jump that tennis was already a big part of your life, and you moved, and the family moved because you wanted some tennis opportunities. So when did you know you were going to go pro? What were your aspirations as a kid, and how did they maybe change over time?
It's kind of funny, but like, it never seemed like there was like another different way in my mind. Not
Hmm.
so just thought like you're gonna go when you get older. You're gonna go play professional tennis, and so that's basically it.
It truly was just something you didn't really see a different world. You thought, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this.
Yes, correct, correct.
So as you were a professional, did you feel like your professional aspirations changed over time?
For sure, yes. When you're not there yet, you think you're going to win Grand Slams, you're going to be number one, and the guy losing quarterfinals of a Grand Slam is not really a great player.
Yeah, yeah,
And then later you're like, well, if I just even got to a second round of a Grand Slam, I'd be happy,
be
or even in
incredible.
the Grand Slam. So definitely changes, as the time goes on.
What do you think a good pro does? Like, are there habits or personality traits that you find good pros have in common? Tennis is a unique game. There are many different personalities, body types, everything. But did you notice anything that the great players had in common or the good players had in
Problem solving,
common? Okay.
and so and the mental strength, but it's kind of problem solving. I think comes all together because everybody's probably physically gifted, but you just got to find a way to make your game work the best for yourself and kind of solve problems with that.
So at 122 in the world, I think it'd be pretty fair to say you were a good player. Can you think of a time when you problem solved really well on the court? Is it easier or harder when you have a partner? Someone else has to problem solve with you.
Yeah, it's kind of it's good and bad, I
Hmm.
would say. I thought mainly good because you can kind of maybe help each other out when somebody's not having the best day. It is sometimes frustrating when maybe your partner doesn't have the greatest day, but I feel like you always try to, at least myself, to get the most out of what I can do in a
Hmm.
situation, and hopefully that's going to be enough, and and encourage the other person. But yeah, I mean, problem solving is funny when you're doing yourself. You just see it as a problem. You just see it playing a match, and
Hmm.
then later you kind of think it maybe it's problems. But in the moment, you just hit it at the moment. You're just playing.
So maybe it's a little easier to dissect afterwards than it
Yes,
is while
for
you're on the
sure.
court. I think that's something any tennis player can relate to
Yes,
at any
yes.
level, right? Um, what was your best win?
Meaning tournament or a person or a player?
For you as a player, it could be a tournament, it could be
Okay, so not like
whatever,
ranking
however
wise.
you take
Okay.
that. Yeah. What was like one of your best moments as a tennis pro?
Well, winning that Cuenca Challenger, finals was actually, my first Challenger title win in doubles, and we bet actually two guys who ended up being number one later in the
Hmm.
world in the finals.
Wow.
So
Who were
and
they?
then
Do you remember their names?
yeah, Marcelo Melo and Bruno Suarez,
Okay.
the two
Brazilians, right?
Brazilians.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so at that time didn't seem like anything huge, and later like, well, those guys are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I remember actually a moment in doubles, we that same year, I think early in the year, Gordon won a match against two really good players. One ended up winning Wimbledon later that year. Uh, in the semifinals of a challenger, made us go to the final. Then we're like, okay, those guys are our top 100 in the world. So like, okay, so we can compete and beat these guys. So I think
Hmm.
we can do this. So
Yeah. Those moments of realization that I mean, we're always the same people, right? But for some reason in our minds, you have to cross this threshold before you believe you're the person you are, if that makes sense. Um, how did a moment like that change your outlook on what you were doing as a professional?
yeah, it was kind of I can't see how, let's say, they played in a match, but I thought like we didn't have to do anything extraordinary to win that
Hmm.
match. So I'm like, oh, so our level is enough,
Yeah.
so for this stage. So yeah, just kind of thought, okay, well, I think we can go, more further from here. If this is the level for the moment, like okay, we can achieve bigger things if we can raise our level as well. So
And I think you talk about tennis being a metaphor for life. I think all of us hope to one day realize that we are enough. And oftentimes, good things happen in everyone's life once you realize that you are enough. And as a player, that realization I think can be really empowering. Why do you think? Obviously, you were an accomplished player as a singles player as well. Why do you think you were, uh, we'll say, more successful as a doubles player than as a singles player?
Yeah, I think because you asked in the beginning, was my favorite shot volleys. I liked
Yeah.
volleys,
Okay.
and back in the day, you had to, when you played those, you had to be quite a bit more at the net maybe than
Hmm.
nowadays. So that's one reason I was pretty good at the net. So that's why I did better in doubles.
Okay. Just more
So
opportunities up at the net. Bottom
yes,
line.
yes, yeah,
All right. So we talked about some of the highlights, um, but you did eventually stop being a pro. You are
yeah.
not a professional tennis player right now. Being a professional is a hard life. What makes it so hard, and when did you realize that you were not going to pursue that anymore?
um, so basically, the main thing was like you're young, you play tournament, you travel to countries, is it's all fun, it's all great. And so then at certain points it becomes a job,
Hmm.
and you're like, okay, it's not so great. Okay, let's go to a tournament again, let's get in a plane, let's go there and maybe lose first round and then train for a week in a place that's not home, and then play another tournament, and hopefully you'll do better there.
Hmm.
uh, and then you're actually not really making any money except just to cover the cost that you travel into
If you're lucky.
tournaments.
Yeah,
Yes,
if you're lucky.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, and at that point, like, okay, well, I'm not breaking any um, financial goals here. So
Hmm.
it's a job, and I'm
Hmm.
not I'm having fun, but it's not on that I can't do anything else that I will have as much fun with. So then it was kind of like, well, maybe it's time to try something else.
Was there a singular moment that you really began to think about trying something else, or did it just come on gradually?
Yeah, it came on gradually. Yeah, it wasn't
Okay.
like yes.
It wasn't like, oh, this one match, can't believe I lost to this dude. Is this? It was more like, it's been a couple months. I'm not getting the results. Is this really worth it?
Correct. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
more systematic in my approaches or decisions. So that would be kind of like the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes I think to myself, because I've never been a high level athlete, I think I wonder for athletes, because the toughest part about playing a sport, I think, is not playing it anymore, especially when you do it at a high level. Is there a singular moment, or is it something gradual over time? I wonder if it's different for everybody, or what that looks like. So it's interesting to get your perspective on just because tennis is such a long-term grind over the course of a year. It can, I'm sure, moments where your things are going well, it just feels like it's never going to be bad again. And then moments where it's bad, you turn around, it's like, wait, I just lost first round 4 weeks in a row. Like, what's happening? It's
Yes.
got to be tough.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, just like stopping was. I thought like, okay, this is my, whatever last match I knew I was playing, and this is gonna be, oh, this is this big moment. Then later, like, well, it's not like I'm never gonna play tennis again. It just you
Okay.
make the moment bigger than it is, I think, in your head, and then later
Yeah.
it's like, well, what's different, So it just kind of like, yeah, it just kind of comes as like, well, this wasn't a big deal.
It's funny what we create in our minds
Yes,
versus
yes.
like what actually happens afterwards. Do you have any regrets about your time as a professional tennis player? Anything you wish you did differently?
Maybe I should have stopped playing just doubles earlier.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because I was playing like everybody tries to play singles and doubles.
Hmm.
Because you obviously make more money in singles. It's more fame in
Hmm.
singles. But yeah, my
Yeah.
skill is more in doubles, and maybe I wish that I maybe start a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Just or putting more focus on doubles. So
All right. Um, we're going to finish up here with this question. So your son Luke has a great game, but he's very young, a long way to go, and there may be a moment where he makes a decision as to whether he becomes a pro tennis player or he does not, and he pursues something different. And every year there are men and women, boys and girls that make that decision that I am going to chase it or I'm not going to chase it. What's one piece of advice you give people who are trying to make that decision?
okay, just to make the decision
Just to make the
itself.
decision.
I mean, it's you got to know what you really want. If,
Hmm.
if you really want it, it's now you want to achieve something, then you got to try, because you will not know if you don't try. If
Hmm.
and I will say, if you never try, you will not make it, or you're not going to know. At least that's the worst example, like not knowing. I think failing is not a, or not achieving maybe what you hoping, not as bad. But but also if you don't feel like you want to go through all that, you just much rather do something else. That's also
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Okay. But I like that idea of why not go for it? Why not just avoid that regret just by saying, go give it a shot?
Yes, because you don't be later like, well, maybe if I tried, I could have done this, but this way how far you would have gone, or how it felt if you enjoyed it or not. You may not even enjoy it. So like, well, after a few months, this is not for me. But maybe you love it so much and you'll be there for a while.
I think there are a lot of young tennis players that hopefully can get that message, because I think that's a really good way of thinking about things. Mirko, thank you so much for your time. This has been a lot of fun. It's been fun learning about your journey, and it's been awesome getting to watch you coach these last couple of weeks. It's the people down here at Lakeland have a good thing, and they're lucky to have you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks everybody for tuning into the Service Line. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the good things. Catch you guys later.
One more. You're waiting. It's a good ball, but I feel you can run through. You're hopping, you're kind of waiting too long. Go. Now we're talking. Yeah, you take also time away. Now we're talking, and look, the way you set up, I'm like, she may go here, right? So I'm like, okay, she's gonna go, you're a little further away, which is fine, you get better angle. But you still went, I couldn't really tell, and you hit it the same way.